Good afternoon to you. Mark Sutton, HurricaneTrack here. It is now Thursday, July the 11th, 2024. Back in the office here in North Carolina after being in Texas for several days, dealing with Hurricane Beryl, as many of you down there had to as well. Still quite a number of people without power I am seeing on social media. That's a real bummer. Hopefully we learn something from this and we can be better prepared for the rest of the season, which looks to be, wow. That's just all I can say. You've seen the update from Colorado State. I'll show you a couple things kind of related to that. And the operative word really is wow. And we better be prepared. So let's take a look real quick at Beryl. Look at that legacy. Amazing from a meteorological perspective. A real bummer what it has done in terms of loss of life, the destruction, and just the societal impacts. Yes, that's a big problem. But meteorologically speaking, this started way out here, south and west of the Cape Verde Islands, at the end of June, made it all the way across because of a nice, strong area of high pressure. This is oversimplified. But we've got a big, fat Bermuda Azores high, no big trough down the middle to curve this out to sea, and that was the result. We had landfalls across the Caribbean, the southeastern Caribbean via the Windward Islands, almost a landfall in Jamaica, pretty close pass to the Cayman Islands, another landfall in the Yucatan region of Mexico, followed by the final landfall where I was in the eye of the hurricane. I was in Bay City when it came over me and my colleague Matt there, but the final landfall in Matagorda, and then all the tornadoes up through here in recent days. Just another wow. I mean, really, quite an impactful system. All but guaranteeing that the name Beryl will be yanked from the rotating list and replaced with another female name when the WMO and the National Hurricane Center and all those folks get together and discuss such things, I guess, sometime early next year. My prediction is Beryl is a shoo-in to be retired. We shall see. As well it should be. So some stats for you. Beryl has set a record. The most ace points this early in the hurricane season since records have been kept. Got to make that very clear, or people come after you. Well, we didn't know about a million years ago. You are correct. That's all I can say. We need Ed McMahon. Remember him from Johnny Carson? You are correct, sir. Anyway, there's where we are ace-wise. The older folks will understand. The younger folks are like, what is he talking about? And no, I'm not a boomer. I'm Gen X, so stop with that already. All right, so 40 ace points almost. We'll just call it that, and we round it up towards 40 ace points so far for the hurricane season as a whole. I mean, we're looking at 36.1. You round that up to 40 when you're doing rounding math, right? So we're well ahead of where we should be for hurricane season. Just wanted to make that very clear. The predictions are coming to pass so far. All right, so we got this little doodad off the southeast coast of the United States. Good news, only a 10% chance of developing into a depression or more. The bad news is, as I will show you on satellite imagery, that it is a weather system, and it is bigger than any of us, right? It is. Just look at it. That's what you got to do sometimes. Don't worry about probabilities or where the little X is or where it might go. Look at it and say, okay, is this bigger than me? And that, again, is part of that understanding the totality of any weather event, not just little individual details of it. You have to understand the bigger picture. So it's a disturbed area down here. We got an upper level low to its east over here. And generally speaking, pressures are kind of high. We're not in a very favorable Madden-Julian oscillation phase. It's just not a favorable time right now. But you can still get deep convection, some organization, maybe a little bit of turning, and you can get some heavy rain, gusty winds, a lot of boaters in this part of the country, even in the offshore waters out towards the Gulf Stream. So people need to be aware. Not making something out of nothing. There is something down there, and we need to be mindful of it. Now, the GFS isn't real enthusiastic about this developing into much at all. There's a little bit of the reflectivity associated with it in today's model run, the 12Z. That's the vorticity that we look for. And as you know by now, if you've watched my videos for any amount of time, I like to see, does that bundle up? That's what I'm looking for. And the answer is generally no. All that yellow and some oranges in there stays generally stretched out into the weekend, according to the GFS, which should translate into some rain, and much needed rain across some of these areas. I noticed that a chunk of North Carolina and South Carolina is now in extreme drought, so we could use a little bit of rainfall, but by and large, nothing really with this system coming together. You can almost see, just the faintest of turning in here, maybe. Again, that's stretching it. That's why I don't think this is going to do much. And there's your Bermuda high, really going to set up. It looks like a fried egg out there, doesn't it? That's the yolk. Huge Bermuda high going to set up. That's going to help to warm the sea surface temperatures in the western Atlantic, and we just march on through this somewhat miserable summer that we're having of heat and tornadoes with the remnants of Beryl and Beryl itself, so hot out west, so forth and so on. This was generally expected. Now the Euro is a little bit more aggressive with this. This is the overnight run, and you can see it's got a little bit more energy down there. That's why I like to look at this part of the atmosphere, the 5,000 foot level, the 850 millibar vorticity as we call it in meteorology, and it's a little bit more bundled. And again, this tells me, look, if I'm a boater down there and I'm going to be running up the Gulf Stream in my big sailboat or motor powered boat, whatever the case may be, some kind of a nice yacht, you need to be aware of this, because there will be heavy rain, showers and thunderstorms, occasional gusty winds, and you want to be quite aware of that. And again, it does, the Euro, try to bundle it just a little bit, and this has more of that little look to it right there. You can clearly see it's got little arms, a few feeder bands in there. So maybe the Euro's overdoing it, hard to say. But let me just show you real quick. The surface pressure's really not too big of a deal here. It doesn't even show up. The isobar on there is still about 1016 millibars, and we don't really have a surface low. There's one isobar there. Isobar means line of equal pressure. 1016 millibars, a little bit of a reflection at the surface. Good rainmaker. Again, we need it. Other than that, coastal interests, especially boaters, again, just need to be aware of it for safety concerns. All right? So a few things to kind of peruse here as we get into the second half of today's update. Sea surface temperatures are evolving pretty much where we thought they would be. We're not in the La Nina just yet, but there was an update today from the Climate Prediction Center that suggests once we get to August, September, and beyond, the La Nina will crank up. We do have kind of cool neutral conditions down here. Clearly there's no El Nino. We're not seeing warmer than average sea surface temperatures through this area. So the lack of El Nino, just the fact that the El Nino is gone, coupled with this very warm water relative to average, right in the heart of the main development region, suggests that we should still have a very, very active hurricane season. Everything is optimally placed, well, for the weather to happen, not optimal for us humans. Not going to be a fun time coming up, and we have to take this very seriously, accept it, and do something with it. I don't know why I popped back up. I'm trying to move on here. So yeah, the sea surface temperature profile, pretty interesting out there. This is also interesting. What do you suspect caused that? That is the wake from Beryl in the Gulf of Mexico. Interestingly enough, there is no wake that I can find anywhere across here, maybe a little bit right there in the Northwest Caribbean. Let me take my drawing away. The upper ocean heat content is so plentiful, and Beryl's radius of maximum winds was so small and compact that we really didn't shave off much upper ocean heat content to speak of across the Caribbean, and we are only in July. So all of this through here that did get disturbed will, my mouse is being funky again, will be quick to rebound over the coming days and weeks, because we're not going to have anything else to come along and disturb said areas. And yeah, that's going to be interesting. We'll be able to track that in real time. What else do I want to show you here? So the Mid-Atlantic, my area, southeast coast, yeah, we do have very warm water temperatures down here, so anything that does fester certainly bears watching. That disturbance will knock these temperatures down a little bit, temporarily anyway. 29, 28 Celsius, 30 Celsius down here along the coast of the low country into eastern Georgia beaches. we're talking mid to upper 80s. If you're up here along the Jersey coastline, just look for the isotherms. In this case, isotherm meaning line of equal temperature. Hint for you, the yellow is 80 degrees or higher. So, what are these? I guess these are 1 degree increments. So that's 26, 25, 24, still about 23 Celsius, so low to mid 70s off the Jersey coast. And I picked Jersey because I know a lot of people that live there because of Sandy and other activity, especially in the winter. But yes, bottom line, water temperatures in the mid-Atlantic to the northeast, low to mid 70s. If it's nice and toasty outside, that does feel good. I like it when the water's in the low 80s, though. That's just me. And if I wanted that, I guess I could have moved here. Because holy cow, look at all this warmth. Now, this is really interesting to me. 30 degrees Celsius was very prevalent all through here. I'm telling you, man, my mouse is just jumpy. It was very prevalent through here when Beryl was coming. And there's just one little chunk that's eroded here, almost like a little inlet. Other than that, the water temperature is largely undisturbed close to the Texas coast here. Still 29 to 30 Celsius. We're talking mid to upper 80s. And then that, of course, is very obvious to see in terms of the ridiculous surface temperatures all across the rest of the Gulf. Up here against the Florida coast, 31 Celsius. And then right close to the Nature coast up here, yesterday I saw 32 Celsius. Too warm. I don't know how people do it. It's got to just be oppressive at night, especially in Tampa, Sarasota. And just how do you even cool off? The dew points are probably in the 80s like all the time. It's just crazy. And we're only in July. Yikes. All right, so let's get back if everything will cooperate. Come on. So Dr. Klotzbach tweeted this earlier today, the latest NOAA, and this, of course, is coming from the CPC, Climate Prediction Center. The NOAA INSO, which is El Nino Southern Oscillation forecast, still favors La Nina for the peak of Atlantic hurricane season, with a 70% chance of La Nina conditions during that time period. And just to remind you at home, La Nina is important because it favors Atlantic hurricane activity via decreases in wind shear. And remember that last part, decreases in wind shear. That's important. I'll show you evidence of that in just a moment. Let's look at it full screen. Yes, the very important time period coming up of August, September, October, La Nina is favored. And then it does look like it's coming. It's not 100% yet until it happens. That's how this works. But the probabilities are going up, and I think we will get a La Nina. Furthermore, Dr. Klotzbach tweets that while the transition to La Nina has somewhat stagnated in recent weeks, and it has, a robust trade wind surge is likely forthcoming, potentially accelerating a cooling trend in the next few weeks. What on earth is that we're looking at, you might ask? This would be your 5,000-foot winds along the equatorial, roughly, regions. I mean, it's 5 degrees north and south of the equator. So we're looking at this strip right through here. This is a Mercator map, but a Mercator map of the equatorial regions. This is where we are now. This is the future. And these are your very strong easterly, they come from the east, trade winds indicated in the ECMWF Ensemble Prediction System model suite. That's the best way to put it. So we're seeing very strong trades with the greens and blues, weak trades all across this area, which is all through here from now going forward, which will further warm the Atlantic. So we'll put a big negative here for cooling in the Pacific, a positive here for warming in the Atlantic. Yes, that means as we get to August and September, things are going to get very busy in the Atlantic Basin, and we had darn well better be ready. I am very serious. The subsurface also suggests the La Nina still is coming. These are your subsurface cold anomalies. A little bit of warmth up here at the surface, but by and large, the stage is set for us to have a weak La Nina by the time we get to August and especially September. And that'll help to harbinger and usher in the very busy peak months. All right, visiting our friends over here at Storm 2K, I like to read what people are talking about. The old social media, you remember the age of message boards, GeoCities, and other things like that? We had MySpace. That was more social media. Storm 2K has been around a long time. They are a supporter collectively of what we do here at HurricaneTrack as well. As they say, full disclaimer. But we have a lot of friends there and a lot of very smart people. They know what to look for. They're staying on top of this stuff. And it is that collective mind that I like to tap into, because I don't know everything. I hope I don't pretend like I do, because I don't. I like to learn from others. So a couple of posts here at Storm 2K that jumped out at me in their 2024 indicators thread, the ongoing discussion of all the different indicators that the people watch, the people that know what they're looking for. And this post here refers to one from our friend Michael Lowry, so I'll show you. And this is what I was talking about. Remember I told you to remember about the wind shear and the La Nina? This is why it's important. Michael Lowry says over 80% of the Atlantic main development region, the deep tropics, is at record or near record warmth still. All right, he posted this yesterday. Combine this with among the lowest, ding, 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 there it is, I told you to remember, among the lowest wind shear we've observed through the first week of July, and it's no surprise the seasonal hurricane forecasts are so bullish. So these are your sea surface temperature anomalies. These are your wind shear values, going back and looking at them analytically, right, in the past. And yes, these are very low values for the first week, or first part of the hurricane season through the first part of July. And all those blues are lower than average wind shear, absolutely related to the loss of the El Nino. What about the other post? This, and I know, I can't wait, this is Adrian down in Southeast Florida, and that's his username, SFL Kane, South Florida Kane. I'm sure I'm going to meet Adrian this year. Adrian has a great post, well, great in terms of bringing about information, not so great for us that don't like the color green, because here green is not good. The ECMWF plus UK Met Super Blend for the heart of hurricane season has just arrived. The tropics are quiet now, but that won't last. So all of that green is your wetter area, your super blend of all the different models, and these have done remarkably well over the last several years. Shows us the general idea, let me use red to make this really pop, of a strong African wave train. These African easterly waves, as we call them, or tropical waves. Some will be recurving. We're going to have enough activity. But the densest of the areas clearly impact population areas, regions, from the Caribbean, Central America, Florida, the East Coast, the Gulf Coast. This is not a good look. This is the look. If I see this, I say, hey, I'm definitely doing everything I can to be ready for this hurricane season that lies in front of me. And that includes maybe getting a generator, trimming back some trees, brushing up on your insurance situation. Insurance, that's almost a four-letter word now, and I think it's going to be even more so when the season is over. The headaches that are coming, I'm telling you, sometimes I have to absolutely be very blunt about this because it is very, very serious. These could be disruptive societal impacts. We're already seeing that in the greater Houston area. Lots of finger pointing and blaming, and just the political stuff's getting involved too. It gets very, very messy. And we see this kind of stuff, those of us that know how to interpret it, and we say that's the sign we're in big doo-doo. Seriously, very big, deep doo-doo. All right, can't put it any more blunt to you than that. But you know what? We are not, without preparedness tools, from mitigation strategies, preparing on the front end, whatever that might mean for your particular financial situation, you can be ready. You can. Now, one of the things we're going to do to help you with that, I've talked about this company quite a while for the last year or so. Very proud to be associated with QuickDam, based up in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. And they have unbelievable great products. I've heard from people that have talked about using them. They are real. I have visited in person. I've got some of these in my house. I have used them for leaky drains and faucets. My sink in the kitchen was all messed up over Christmas. Had to pull that thing apart. Water came out. I had one of the flood bags underneath, and it trapped a couple of gallons worth of water, and I didn't have a mess to clean up. Those are the easy things. When you get serious flooding, wind-driven rain, some of these products can really help with that. And we're going to give some away. That's what this graphic is for. So tomorrow, I'm going to go looking through my social media. That includes our Seldom use Facebook, but it's still there. I guess I have to talk to CJ about that. YouTube certainly, and Twitter, and even our Patreon. And between now and the end of the month, we're going to give away 2 different sets of products. A grab-and-go bucket kit, which is including those flood bags, which are very helpful. You build them up like sandbags to create a nice barrier. They're all water-activated. You don't have to go filling up sandbags. And we're going to give away a grab-and-go, the indoor leak kit. It's grab-and-go, too, literally. And look, they sell these at Lowe's and Home Depot and Grainger, and they're online at Amazon. I'm going to put a link in today's description to some of these products on Amazon that you can click on if you want to get some delivered to you. Trying to help you here. It's more than just a sponsor, more than a partner. This actually does work. I wouldn't work with them if they didn't. It is a good way to help mitigate flood damage. You can check their website out over here, quickdam.com. Quick Dams. And you can, peruse the videos, the products they've got. And I'm just impressed with all that they have done over the years, and we just started working together last year. Wow. So, yep, I give you all this sort of bad news, if you will, with this. At least there are some solutions here from companies like Quick Dams to help you out. All right? Try to leave it a little bit of something rather than just everything is just not going to be good as we get to August and September and beyond. Because even though it might look menacing, again, we do have the power to do something. Have a plan, have something in place, and not just sit back helplessly and say, well, I'm without hope. No, we have the tools to see what's coming ahead of time, and then hopefully we do something with that. All right? Have a good rest of your Thursday. I'll be back tomorrow. I am traveling to the Cayman Islands on Monday. I'll talk about that over the weekend. Very exciting stuff coming up that we're going to be doing down there. And then we'll just see what the rest of July holds, which will hopefully be pretty quiet. But just in case it's not, I'll be here doing what I do. All right? Again, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. We all do. From the family here at HurricaneTrack, our great community, I'm Mark Sudduth. I'll talk to you again tomorrow.